Welcome to the Big O Money Show. Bill Altman here, my co-host Tony Shore, and very special guest today, Edward Anderson, known as Dr. Edward Anderson. Fantastic guy. He is my cousin-in-law, if that's something, but he is married to my cousin Sarah. We've actually had his son Beckett on the show before, which was a lot of fun. That was
Beckett.
Hilarious. Yeah. No, that was great. And so
awesome.
Today, we have a really great show planned. This week, I had the opportunity to attend an event centered around AI and what's kind of going on in that field. And it wasn't really for financial advisors necessarily, but knowing Ed and Ed knowing me, Ed's like, hey, this is something you might get some takeaway from, something that might help your clients and give you great talking points and better knowledge in the industry and how it works. Because people know it's there. I think people know it's not going away. People are also a little scared of it, right? And they don't know how to invest in it. And is it going to steal all my stuff? And what's going to happen? Is everything going to be a bot? Is everybody going to get laid off? So we're going to talk about a lot of that kind of stuff today and find out. So Ed, without further ado, welcome.
Thank you. I feel welcome. Glad to be here. And thanks for joining us yesterday. We really enjoyed having you and your group in the audience yesterday. And look forward to this talk.
And if you ever get a chance to attend an event put on by Ed and his company, Slalom, they do things a little different than I've seen in the past, which was really neat. They do these like short 12-minute segments of their own professionals that come up and talk about what they're doing and what's going on, but they really drill down. And it's what I call like what I think attention span keeper. I don't know if that's why it's done or not, but it takes the time, it allows you to really stay engaged. So as for someone that's been doing presentations, public presentations and private presentations for over 20 years, I really appreciated that. And that gave me some takeaway, not even getting into the AI side, but that was fantastic.
I appreciate that. It is a little bit of an attention getter or a retainer.
Yep.
But one of the things maybe we should have explained a little bit more is each of the fellows that presented yesterday are subject matter experts in their field, and they have the ability to go deep. So if it becomes more conversational, these guys are practitioners. They live and breathe and are in the general AI or the generative AI and the AI space constantly. So
gotcha. Sure.
That's part of the strategy with it.
Gotcha.
That's awesome. Hey, really quick, if I might interject, Ed, before we get too far, just really quick, tell our listeners and viewers out there what Slalom is. What do you do there?
Yeah, just high level. Slalom's a business and technology consultancy. We're fairly large. We're 53 offices across the globe, 13,000 consultants in total. We do very, very big things and we do very, very small things. But what really makes us different or our niche is that we say that we're fiercely human. So the way that we approach the market is it's hand to hand and we're consulting with you and helping you through projects versus somebody who maybe consult at you or consult to you, leave you with a slide deck or with a bunch of ideas and no way to actually implement it. So we're there from tees to green.
Wow.
Tees to green.
I like that. Tees to green.
Golf analogy.
Look at you guys.
Liz, how about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to think about that for a while. I don't get out on the old course very often.
No, not often enough.
Yeah, that's right. So yes, Slalom though, this whole presentation was centered around the AI world, right?
It was.
And getting into better understanding, and some of my takeaways, which we'll go in, is really regulatory governance. And we're not talking about regulatory governance in public policy, right? Mm-hmm. Coming down. I mean, I know that's a part of it, no doubt. We see that all the time. But how internally can we make sure that your projects that you're creating are getting out there instead of being stopped or bottlenecked because that it wasn't there, that compliance piece, that regulation within it, that safeguard wasn't quite there, quite up to standards. And it was said, I believe, that 95% of these projects don't even make it to the street because of that reason.
Yeah, that's accurate. So strong governance, one, it protects people, it protects information, it protects the business. The other thing it does is it gets the business involved and invested so that through and through, as a company, you're aware of what you're doing and how you're leveraging these tools. Generative AI is still fairly new. It's still changing by the hour. I mean, what was new when I walked into this studio this morning is not going to be new when I walk out. That's legitimately the pace that it's moving at. So having good guardrails, having governance set up so that you're able to move projects along safely, de-risking them, but being able to get them to the street so that you're able to take advantage of all these wonderful things and opportunities that it creates, whether you're in financial services, healthcare, retail, manufacturing. It's really important, and all of them have their own unique reasons why they need protection, as you folks know, in financial services.
Right. And, we've talked about people are also scared a little bit. We'll get into that more and more.
Yeah.
But people are also a little scared about mass layoffs, like what's going to happen. All these bots are going to take over as what I learned a new term yesterday. I'm learning something new every day. An agent. I actually went up to Ed, he was standing in back, and of course I'm going up to him. He's, don't bother me, I'm working, and I was like, real quick, what's an agent? Like I know what an agent is in our industry. It's like a, like a Bill Kaiser or something, it's like an agent. What's an agent, or an FBI agent or CIA agent? What's an agent in your industry?
Yeah. Real simply put, it's a digital robot that has a very specific task that it's told to do. And it's able to do the task and focus on it without having drift, without having other influences changing the way that it's behaving. And it does it over and over. So you might think, well, is that like making a keystroke? Possibly, right? A digital keystroke. But you also could use agents for doing quality check. It only looks at the quality of code that's being put out, or the quality of the end product that's being put out, along the lines of something that what we call the SLDC, which is a software lifecycle development, software development lifecycle. Sorry,
Sure.
SDLC.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we can edit that out, I hope.
Yeah. Well, no, we're live on the air, folks, on 1110 KFAB, The Torch, right here from the Premier Advisory Studios, Big O Money Show. And people ask, why is Altman doing a show on this AI stuff? Well, I'll tell you why. It's a projected worldwide spending to hit $2.5 trillion in infrastructure, pouring out Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, Oracle are pouring over $650 billion into capital expenditures to build data centers, while enterprise leaders shift from experimenting with basic chatbots to deploying autonomous AI agents. Yeah. Holy smokes. What's the public thinking? You know what I thought of AI in the past? I thought of AI as, maybe a self-driving car in Vegas, or the chat system. Yeah. Right. And you get on, and I've been using that. I got the whole paid app now, real cool, and I get on, and now I'm quite using it. Danielle wanted to make something for the house, a little thing for Braden that he can take back. His birthday's coming up here on the 30th of June, and make something. And the guy was kind of sending her over some examples. She's having it done on Etsy or some jazz like that. And I said, I just typed in what she wanted, and it came back and spit out this really cool design. And I was like, so that's, I think, what the general public thinks about AI. But as for why we're talking about, so that's that. Why we're talking about it, though, is on the investing side, all these companies are pouring record amount of money into all of this technology. Substantial. We talked about 2.5 trillion. That's a big number. That's a substantial investment, right? These 5 companies pouring over $650 billion. I mean, that's substantial. So what do we think about that? How are we investing? Who are we investing with? Well, we kind of have to, I'm kind of like the John Dutton on Yellowstone. I don't want the progress, man. I want to keep it. Let's go backwards. Let's go back. I want to get rid of the diesel exhaust fluid. I want to get rid of the cell phone. I want to go back. That's just not the real world. Now, can you do that? Can you live off the grid? Yes. For how long? I don't know. But the real world doesn't do that.
No.
And how we invest, these companies that we are investing in, we want to make sure that truly they're taking advantage of this, and their hearts and minds are in the right place and growing it, and not only growing it for their own, I'll say, profitability and all that kind of good stuff, but then you get down to the safety part of it, right? Making sure that these agents, these bots, aren't going to take over the world. And
Sure.
and companies like you, that was a big part of your presentation this week, is making sure that these companies aren't able to do that.
Definitely. There's always going to be bad actors. Any any tool, any weapon, any defense that's ever been created in the history of the world has been used by bad actors to
Yeah.
do exactly the opposite of what was intended. AI was originally started to make the world better and make it so that our lives would get better day in and day out, so we could do higher level work and less things that create like carpal tunnel, like too many keystrokes, when Gen AI can do that for you, Bill.
Right. That's absolutely
right. Content creation and information, just easier access to facts and information. And of course, you have to quality check. But it's gotten better as it grows. It gets better and it improves. But there are people that are scared that it's going to get, we're going to lose control of it, or it's going to take too many jobs. And I think there's some legitimacy to some of it, right? Wouldn't you say, Ed? But not the hysteria. Right?
I think the fear and concerns are fair. Right. And the best we can do is understand, educate, and look at it maybe more globally. At this point in time, AI is creating more jobs than it's taking. It's creating more jobs in software. It's creating more jobs building these data centers all over the country. It's creating more jobs because we're able to do work at a different level than we ever were before. And people, for the most part, are having more job satisfaction by the implementation of AI where it's been successful. It's the early days. As Bill mentioned, 95% of all projects by the enterprise have failed in the first year or two by a survey that we did in 2025. That means right. We have a long ways to go. That number is going to continue to improve, and we're going to start to breathe, live AI kind of every day, and probably not even be aware of it. The idea of having a digital radio host is a very realistic opportunity.
Hey, what are you talking about? Hey,
I'm just saying,
let's cut that right now. Ed, Ed, I'm going to have to remove you from the show.
Is now about.
Actually, they loaded some of the shows I've done, and a bunch of my voice into the our video team loaded a bunch of stuff because they kept asking me to do these video voiceovers for little videos. Now it's my voice you hear on the video, and I didn't actually do the voiceover. It's insane,
scary, right?
That is wild.
I can tell, and a lot of people, like if you played it for people who know me really well around here, they can say, "Oh, that's AI." If they listen closely, but it's gotten so much better. Like even I have to go, wait. Did I say that? Did I do that?
You to focus on higher value targets,
right? Like Bill Altman's show, so I can host Bill Altman's show. That's co-host. Yeah.
And that's real important. Yeah. So a company called Anthropic, just to prove this point, has more engineers now than they had 3 years ago, even though 99% of the code is written by AI.
Yes.
And that's amazing. So the hysteria is, oh, they're taking over everything. That is actually proven completely opposite, which is really, really cool. And again, AI, another thing I took away, I'm not going to beat this dead horse, but AI governance is at the top of the food chain. And we talked about 95% of apps fail due to the lack of governance, which is fantastic. So these companies realize that. And if we can get ahead of public policy governance and the actual government, which doesn't know what they're doing, right? Ever, it seems like, for the most part.
In this case, I 100% have to agree.
Okay. But if you have these companies that actually can put real dollars and cents and that human aspect, right? That fiercely human aspect back into this to make sure that misuse doesn't happen. When we first got in here today, I was logging in and the computer got goofy on me for a second and I had to do an authentication thingy. And it's like, oh, come on, man. Isn't this AI supposed to fix this stuff? Where I can just walk in and they're like, hey, Bill, I recognize you. You're doing great, huh? Yeah, sounds good. And if Ed's like, unfortunately, it's only probably going to get worse and you're going to have like a triple authentication and so forth. And maybe it gets a little worse before it gets better. And maybe at some point I do walk into the studio and it says, well, hello, Mr. Altman. Are you ready? Are you ready for your show? We're all set up for you. And we have old Tony, the bot, agent bot, Tony, waiting for you. That might be something.
I mean, if you think about just what Tony was mentioning earlier, when they could make a synthetic Tony and people had to really listen to understand it, when you go to log in, the ability for AI to quickly spin up and create a synthetic front page where you're logging into somebody else's site and you're giving them all your credentials.
Oh,
That's what 2-factor and 3-factor authentication is going to mean as protecting us. So it's back to the bad actors. This stuff is very powerful.
yeah.
It can do unimaginable things, but the good that it's doing far outweighs it. And back to the comment, the guys on the hill, the folks on the hill, not to separate, but they don't know what they're dealing with at this point. So their natural inclination is they're over restricting. They're clamping down, thinking that they're protecting against Skynet or something at this point. That's a Terminator reference for those at home that don't know. But
or Elon Musk. I mean,
or Elon Musk.
yeah, Skylink, Skynet.
But
Really?
you know, it's that's the thing that's happening right now, and regulatory bodies are struggling because they have to keep up with what's too much and what's enough. And let's allow the companies to move along and allow enterprise to actually have progress with these tools and gain the efficiencies that they want without over restriction. So,
No, that's fantastic. Yeah. So another takeaway from your event is that there's a state. I'm not going to say the state, right? I can say the state.
yeah, you can say it's
Probably not.
probably
There's a
not.
state
Yeah.
in the United States. Okay. It's near Tony. Okay. And the state, they submitted this request, and it's a request for proposal, an RFP. And they said, hey, I need you guys to analyze 2 million lines of code. I think it was, I need you to analyze our legacy. I'm going to call it a CRM for lack of better terms. Okay. A CRM, a customer client relationship manager. It's probably much, much more than that, but it is what it is. So it's their legacy version. And a legacy version is what, Ed?
Legacy, it's written from a long time ago. It doesn't take advantage of modern programming or tactics for how you would build the program. It's more tied together in a linear fashion, the way that it's written, rather than being put together modular.
Yep.
And the more modular it is, it means the more you can adjust it and fix it for the future.
Right. And they say 80% of the cost or your budget for that side of your business goes to just maintaining that legacy CRM, that legacy system that these big companies use, or a big state like the state of Washington, what that state of Washington is going to use. Right.
Yep.
And so 80% of the budget goes there. So you got 20% of the budget that's supposed to help build. Tony, this is very similar to our legacy VA.
Yes.
And, so Chuck Lucius, his firm built our internal CRM for us advisors to use, and did an unbelievable job. I still think it's fantastic. I still like it better than the new stuff, to be honest, because, again, I don't like progress. We talked about that,
Yeah. Change is hard.
Change is hard, but the fact was so much was going in, and they said it just starts to get really cumbersome. You try to write a new code down here, and then the code over here falls apart or it doesn't work anymore. And we started seeing that on our end, like, hey guys, what's going on? Why can't you just fix this? Don't you just hit a button or something? It's like, no, it's not quite that easy, right?
Right.
And they have a 60,000 square foot building that they bought just for their tech side to work on this, to try to build stuff out. And it has been cumbersome, no doubt. So when that 80% number came in, I was like, that's why they switched it, because they just couldn't. There was no budget left in there to get it to work. So with that, so the state comes out and they says, I need you to analyze our legacy CRM. Our legacy CRM, it's been working fine, but we just need to make some upgrades and see what we can do. But we really don't want a new one. We want you to kind of revamp it. How can you extract the old and input the new, or fix it, or do whatever you guys do, right? And they said you have 10 days to analyze this program. So they sent everything over to them in 10 days. Was a pretty short time window a year ago, or maybe even not even a year ago.
Yeah, within the last year.
Within the last year.
Yeah.
And so there was 2 million lines of code, which I don't know what that really means, but there was 2 million lines of code involved. And they were able to extract these lines of code within 48 hours. A year ago, they wouldn't be able to extract them in 10 days. They would have probably turned down the opportunity to work with this particular state because it was just too short of a time window. So AI has allowed that quicker piece to happen.
Huge.
One of your guys was up there talking about having he's able to do stuff now on a higher level and have the AI stuff extract what he needs and do it a little bit better and a little bit faster. And so he doesn't have to spend days or weeks or months or quarters on it, where it's done within just hours, which is impressive. And so he can now get back to the fiercely human part. Now he can get back to the client that's building this, because the client puts a call in and says, hey, I need to speak with Rob. And Rob says, okay, well, it's going to be, next Saturday when I can talk to you and get you scheduled in. They're like, what do you mean? Geez, well, yeah, we're really backlogged. Now we've eliminated that piece so that human to human interaction can happen more often and more efficiently.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
No, it's absolutely accurate. The amount of people it would have taken, I think he even said that a year ago, we would have passed on the project when they said that you only have 10 days to make this happen. We would have walked away and said, it might be 8-10 people working around the clock to be able to analyze and come back with a fair opinion on 2 million lines of code.
Yeah.
And instead, by using the tools that we use, we have the agents doing the breakdown of the code, starting to develop that part of the strategy. But the more important part, and this is the human part of consulting, is software is a taskmaster. Software is there to do something for you and automate or make it better for you to do it in your daily work. And at the end of the day, all the business logic, all the reasons why the software does what it does. And when it's a 30-year-old program, what we call a monolith program from that was written in the 80s, all of that business logic that's been altered, changed, adjusted along the time, that's the human part that we have to break down so that we can make sure the new version of the software, whatever improvements we make, are going to actually be able to successfully complete the task that you had, but do it in a much more straightforward, straight line, simplified way.
Gotcha.
Less
huge.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then it was talked about substantial value creation for companies in the next 2 to 5 years, right? Just because they can move more efficiently, right? And they can put those humans in higher value roles.
Yeah,
just to keep things moving. So it's not going away. Do you want to be cautiously optimistic? Yes, I think you want to be cautiously optimistic about everything. Yeah. I think that's a no-brainer. And whatever you invest in, as for a good piece of your portfolio, like our digital discovery portfolio, or even our G50s, which is our blue chip dividend portfolio, or our core select, which is kind of a mirror of the S&P 500 in a way. All of these companies, or go to the G40I, our international blue chip portfolio. All of these companies are using this, right? And if they're not using it, they're going to fall behind and probably get gobbled up. Bottom line, right?
Yeah. Look at the one of the hot topics on social media is you're going to love this. This is so for you, Bill, that there's a AI program that is 100% autonomously just matching trade for trade and investment for investment Nancy Pelosi's portfolio, because her 3-year returns are fantastically interesting.
Wow. And it's you think it's AI?
Oh, it's AI that's doing it. Yeah. Because it does it quick and it's automated. It does all the research. There's no reason for a human to be in the loop. You just got to sit there and collect your money like Scrooge McDuck.
Tony always told me that it was always like insider stuff from Washington.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
but you've never been a big Nancy Poe fan anyway.
No.
I'm just implying. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I think she's, if you look at her stock picks, there are people that follow her stock picks and they track her stock. They've found her stock, a way to track her stock picks. And they've done it and been so successful and made so much money following Nancy Pelosi's stock picks. At least that's what you hear online. I don't know how much of that to believe. There's also a portfolio that's called the reverse or the inverse Jim Cramer portfolio, where if you take every single piece of advice that Jim Cramer on CNBC has given and you do the exact opposite, you will be way up. But if you do exactly what he's given, and they've mocked it out, you will be way down. It's like the inverse is like it outperformed the S&P 500 if you do the opposite of what Jim Cramer tells you. If Jim Cramer's hot on a stock and you dump it, you'll make more money. Or you invest in, if he says, I don't know if I do this, you do it. And there's a class and a group that did this as an actual study. I believe it was Columbia, that they ran, test scenarios. They weren't actually investing money, but they ran it through the program, and it says here's what they would have made, and it's just unbelievable. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Washington D.C. Yeah.
Well, if
crazy.
you want to know more about this technology, how to invest in it, what to do, how to safeguard your portfolio with also adding pieces within here, and what it all means, give us a call here at the Premier Advisory Group, 402-557-6730. Again, right here in Omaha, 402-557-6730. And you can always go to the web at bigomoney.com. To find out more about Slalom, you can always go to their website, SLALOM.com. Fantastic company, great organization. Ed, thanks for being on today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Ed, Bill, great show today. Listeners, that does it for today's episode of the Big O Money Show with our host, Bill Altman.